Hello, this is an easy mask tutorial. The mask has elastic at the ears, pleats at the front and a pocket in the back so you can add a filter. You could quickly sew this on a sewing machine, but here I'll show you how to hand sew it. Don't worry if you've never done this before. The first thing I will show you is how to do backstitch, and then you'll be all ready to go. If you're already a confident stitcher, feel free to skip this next part. Backstitch is a really strong stitch which is just right for our mask. You'll need some scrap fabric to practice on, a needle and some thread. So the first thing I'm going to do is thread my needle. I like to use double thread, which makes the stitch less easy to break. I need to put both ends of this thread through the eye of the needle. And that means I've got a little loop at the end. So now I'm going to push my needle through the fabric to the back and come out a little further along. As I pull the thread through, I can catch the loop at the end of my thread and use this to start my stitches. Now to anchor this line of stitching, I need to go back to where I started, in from the front and come out in the same place as last time. And I'll do that a couple of times just to make sure it all stays put. Now, to make your first back stitch, go back in again, but come out farther along than you did before. Yeah. Pull your thread all the way through and put your needle in again at the end of the last stitch you did. Move your needle along further than you just did and pull the thread through again. There you go. On the back, you'll see how the stitches here are quite long. Now to finish off, you need to do a couple more stitches, going over the same place again and again. Then just tie, I like to tie a couple of knots. Could just do one. Then I go back through one last time just for neatness' sake. And then I cut the ends off. You need to keep practicing until your stitches are quite small and you're feeling very confident about this. As you can see, it's a very strong stitch. To make our mask, we'll need a tape measure or a ruler, some chalk or a pencil, some pins, although you may be able to manage without, a needle and thread, some sharp scissors, and you'll also need an iron and ironing board. To make this mask, you will need some fabric. It needs to be of a decent weight, and if you need to, you could double it up or use interfacing. You need to cut out one piece that is 15 inches by 8 inches. You will also need two pieces of elastic 7 inches long. I use the 1/4 inch wide size. If you don't have elastic, you could use grosgrain ribbon or perhaps ties. To stop your elastic from fraying, you can melt the ends using a lighter, but only hold it under the flame for a second. To make your mask, first fold the fabric in half, like so. Along the non-folded edge, mark in about 2.5 inches on each side. This should give you a gap in the middle of about 3 inches. You can pin this to stop the fabric from moving around. Now you need to mark down 1/2 inch from the edge. This is going to be your sewing line. Remember, you're not going to sew in the middle 3 inches. You can draw the lines in and this will help you to keep your stitches straight. Now we're going to use our back stitch to sew along the two lines. Start by anchoring your thread and then move along the line, sewing as neatly as possible with nice small stitches. At the end of your line of stitching, anchor off again. You will need to do this for both of your sewing lines. As you can see, the stitching is nice and strong. Mark the fold in your fabric either with chalk like this or with a little snip with your scissors. Line that mark up with your seam that you've sewn and press the seam open using plenty of steam. And this bit is the opening for the filter. Now we're going to add the elastic. Pin one piece of your elastic into the two corners of one side, like so. It's one corner, and that's the other corner. You need to do the same again on the other side with your other piece of elastic. And you want your elastic to be inside your bits of fabric. As this elastic is probably one of the most important bits, we're going to anchor it down using a small back stitch by each of the places where we've pinned. As you can see, that's nice and secure and it's not going to ping off anytime soon. Next, mark yourself a sewing line 1/2 inch in from the side. And obviously you need to do this on both sides. Now you can draw your sewing line across if you want to. And feel free to pin this if you feel it needs it. So now you need to sew both of the sides using back stitch again. Make sure that the elastic doesn't get caught up and that it stays inside the kind of pockety bit of the fabric. Don't forget to finish off in the usual way. So we've sewn both sides and now we need to turn the fabric the right way around using the filter pocket hole. Give your corners a good poke to check all of the fabrics out properly. Give your mask a good press with plenty of steam. Now we're about to go on to the tricky part, so take your time and don't panic. We're going to mark out the pleats using pins. So you need to decide which is the bottom and which is the top of your mask. And we're going to be measuring from the bottom of the mask. Put a pin in at 1 inch, at 2 inches, at 2.5 inches, then 3.5, 4, I'm trying to catch you out, aren't I, and 5. So numbers are at the top of your screen if you need any more help. Now we need to fold the pleats. So fold the second pin to the first and put another pin in to hold it. Leave a gap and then fold the fourth pin to the third and also put a pin in to hold that one. Do take out any unnecessary pins because you're going to get very tangled otherwise. Fold the sixth pin to the fifth and then pin this one as well. And you're going to have to do that on the other side as well. I like to give it a good press just to hold everything in place, but that's not absolutely necessary. You now need to sew these pleats in place. Now you could just backstitch along the top, but I've got another easier way. We're going to over sew. To do this, anchor your thread and then stab all the way through the fabric. Pull out the needle and do exactly the same again. Move your needle along a bit each time and make sure you're getting all the fabric. At the end, anchor off as you usually do, and don't forget to do this on both sides. And that's it, you're done. Well done! I hope your mask is useful to you.